Hi, I'm Jasmine Brett Stringer, and if you know me, you know that I have never met a stranger, and I have a lot of questions about a lot of things. I've teamed up with my friends from Midwest dairy farmers who represent 5,800 dairy farm families from across 10 states to examine how plants and dairy can be better together. And to help me get the facts, I'm excited to be chatting with a new friend, Dr. Remi Famodu-Jackson today. And so I'm going to say this. Remi is like amazing, but she's shy. She didn't want me to call her doctor, but I'm like, hey, girl, you earned that PhD. And she is also a registered dietitian that works with professional athletes. And I would say like high performing professional athletes and is passionate about people being healthy at every size, yay, and eating the right way for them. So, Remy, thank you so much for joining me for this Carpe Diem with Jasmine conversation series.
Awesome. Jasmine, thank you for having me. And I also have to thank Midwest Dairy Farmers as well. I partnered with them a little while ago with the Minnesota Vikings, and I am so happy to be back. And I'm glad to meet you, right? What a great day for Carpe Diem to seize the day in Minnesota. It's so beautiful outside. So
I
it's
know, yay for the sunshine.
yeah. So I'm excited to be here and talk about a really fun topic. I think you hit it. Um, a little bit about me, Jasmine. I'm from Minnesota, and my mom was a farmer in Southwest Minnesota. So I'm like you. I
Shout out,
love
right? Shout out to the
yes.
farm communities.
Shout out to the farm community. It'd be horrible for me not to shout them out today. But no, I'm glad to be here. So I'm from Minnesota, born and raised. But I didn't know nutrition was going to be my passion until me and my twin sister. So I have a twin sister. We both played soccer at Ohio University, and I just found passion for nutrition when it comes to helping my performance. And so that's where it started. I was in West Virginia for a little bit where I did my master's and doctorate. You hit on that one. Please, Jasmine, just call me Remi. I swear you're going to be fine if you call me Remi. But that is where at West Virginia, the nutritional sciences degree was associated in the agricultural department. So my lab was on a dairy farm. So exciting. I got to learn a little bit from those farmers there. But it was at West Virginia where I really developed my passion for health at every size, like you mentioned, and nutrition. I just think it's not a one size fit all approach. I think foods fit anywhere and depending on the person. So I'm just excited to have this conversation with you. I'm a registered dietitian with Twin Cities Orthopedics and with the Minnesota Vikings. So I see a lot of clients, a lot of different clients, and dairy has been a hot topic. So I'm excited to dive into it and give some facts, like you mentioned.
Okay, so I want to go a little personal. I know on a personal note, you are part of a multicultural family and you have an amazing husband. Kudos to the hubbies that support us, but you have a precious baby girl.
I do. Jasmine, I'm so glad you mentioned because sometimes my life gets so busy and she's a big part of it, a huge part of it. At the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, it's her. At the end of the day, it's 100% her. And in the middle, I try to fit her in as well when I can. But yes, I have going on 11 months, but I apparently 21. I feel like I felt that attitude a little bit this weekend, but I do have a little daughter named Lola and just a true blessing.
So you are doing all the things. You're working with patients, these high performing athletes. You are a wife trying to, be a good spouse and mate, and you are busy with a toddler. So you really understand all the things that we are dealing with when we are juggling work and home, and like we want to eat the right thing, but it can be a little hard. So, there's so much noise out there, Remy. And in this great debate of like animal versus plant-based diets, what does a balanced diet really mean?
You know, That is such a good question. That term balance, right? Like, as you mentioned, I there's a lot of balance going on in my life. I can't say I'm perfect, and I hope, and that's what I try to strive to my clients, is that it's not perfect. I was on my bike the other day, and my instructor said it's not getting like the exercise perfect, and I could say that with diet, but it's about the journey there. So you can be perfect trying, right? But I always love that quote because it's true. Like I can try my best. I can give my 100%. It might not come out 100, but I think I can give my best at it. And so going back to balance, I think really you have to find what works for you. That's my term for balance, right? For a college student, it looks different from a pro athlete because they're juggling a lot of things. So they need to find out how can I fit a nice, good variety, moderation, all foods fit into the lifestyle that I have now, right? With the amount of money that I have right now. So we can talk about that too, and how dairy just is affordable as well. But balance is really trying your hardest to get it right for yourself is my opinion on balance, right? What works for Jasmine right now might not work for Remi, but it's what works and how hard you can do to fit that most of the time. And then, of course, I love to throw a curveball because for me, right, I was so different growing up and being an athlete, and then I was hit with this mom, and now I had to adjust a little bit. So now my balance has tipped a different way, and now I have to adjust in another way because I have my daughter and I'm working all these, jobs, and I'm with all these clients and stuff. So balance is it's just about trying to get it right and see what fits for you. I think some people go into a diet thinking they could do what they did 10 years ago, even a year ago, but it's like, gosh, take a look. What is your life right now? And what can you tackle that's the easiest in terms of nutrition, right? And what fits and what can you get to stick? So that's kind of my idea of balance. I know that's a big runaround. But yeah, and you say there's a lot of noise. There's 100% noise out there. And some people just need to go back to the basics, is my opinion. And that's where I start with a lot of my clients.
I love what you said about balance. And, I think is that the USDA, they have the MyPlate and the 5 food groups that we should eat. And, is that for every single size? But can and I really believe that we have this, unfortunately, in society, we either say it's this or, but when it comes to, my plate and those dietary guidelines, how can we embrace the and philosophy?
And yes. So with those guidelines, I bet you remember too. Back in the day, Jasmine, they had the My Pyramid. There might have been more back in the day, but I'm kind of disclosing my age. But I remember the My Pyramid for so long, and then I remember in 2010 they switched to this My Plate. This is when I was going through school, and I'm like, wow, that's just so easy, right? That is easy. That's basics. That's nutrition 101. That screams not only moderation and balance, but if it's all variety, right? And so looking at those key components, the plate, right? Because it's so easy to look at, but it's basically showing you that you can't just have all fruit. You can't just have all veggies. You can't just have all those. You need to have all of them. So it's that and part, right? Are you eating fruit and vegetables and protein, lean protein and whole grains, right? And dairy, right? So that's what that plate is showing you in an easy way. It's like all those food groups fit. And there's a reason why all those food groups are in there because one doesn't outshine the other because they all are different. They all bring different components to a healthy, balanced diet. So it's about, how can you fit getting those? And so you get fruit and how can you get dairy? So we could talk about those matchups, but if you just think back to that plate, you're like, okay, I have my plate, I got my fruits, vegetables, okay, and I need this and I need that. So it's a pretty fun. I love the way the dietary guidelines went because it's just so easy for people to recognize and bring forward to their table and their plate.
Okay, I know this is probably a dumb question, but I gotta ask it because sometimes I get confused. And I was actually thinking about like the things that I eat on a regular basis, and I didn't even realize how much dairy I consume. I thought, well, I don't drink milk every day, so I'm not having dairy every day. What exactly is dairy?
What is dairy? So dairy, well, a lot of people have differently mixed ideas of what is dairy, right? And then they call, dairy alternatives, right? And so I always direct, because I can't say that I am 100% that person when it comes to dairy. So I always say usdairy.com, like you mentioned in the beginning, that is, or that I mentioned, is that you should go to that website, right? And really get a feel for what is dairy. Where does it come from? How does it get to your table? My job, right, is to tell you why it's at that table. And for me, when it comes to dairy, dairy is another food group on that plate that brings moderation, balance, a healthy lifestyle to the table, because it brings so many key and essential nutrients to your body. And when I say essential, those are things that your body doesn't produce. Meaning if we didn't get dairy or any of those or all those food groups, then we would be missing on essential things that are important for our body for growth, repair, health, all those things. Prevention, all those things that we need. So for me, what does dairy signify? It's another food group to up my game. I'm talking to athletes, right? So competition, right? It's that next piece to wherever it is, whatever you're motivated for, it's that next piece to enhance your lifestyle.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a little bit more about this. I know that I like cheese. That's definitely dairy. I make oatmeal for breakfast sometimes, and my husband introduced me to making oatmeal with milk instead of water. That's dairy, right?
Right.
Yogurt, the cream that I put in my coffee if I'm not using a dairy alternative, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yummy. I already said cheese, but I put string cheese in its own category.
I hear you. I put cheese curds in its own. Talk about the fair, my favorite food. Oh my gosh. I'll wait in that line all day, every day.
I love like getting the seasoned, like this is probably not the healthiest, but like the barbecue cheese curds or the ranch cheese curds. So you mentioned like the athletes that you work with, and you mentioned your other clients. So if I were one of your clients and I came in and I said, it's almost summer, the sun is out. I want to trim down about 10 pounds between now and July. I think I can do that. What are some ways that I can make sure I'm eating a balanced meal with all the 5 food groups and eating enough dairy?
Yeah. So the guidelines, right? Those are the national guidelines for individuals. And let's back up. So when you talk about what is dairy in terms of that sense, yes, yogurt, cheese, ice cream, stuff in smoothies, right? Milk, all those things are dairy. So where does it fit, that and piece? Where can we find it? The guidelines, they talk about how, 80%, if not more, individuals are not getting the adequate servings of dairy, those that can provide those key nutrients, especially when it comes to bone health, teeth health, calcium, vitamin D, right? Those 80%, if not more,
I got another question, because you keep mentioning this nutrient word. What are the key nutrients? I read that there were like 13 nutrients. I'm like, what? Okay.
100%. So I like to kind of split them up, right? The first key one, especially when I'm talking about athletes, is protein, right? That one that I get hounded all the time, Remi, how can I build muscle? I need protein, protein, protein. Now, everyone screams to me every time they come to me, Remi, I need muscle, I need protein, right? Dairy's got it, right? So that is a key source for helping you grow and grow strong. And when I talk, I will give you lingo of older individuals, but also I've worked with younger ones, 2 to 3 years old. So I'm talking different language here for you, Jasmine, but I'll kind of skim it down. So the ones to help you grow strong, that's what protein and dairy help with. But then you talk about vitamins and nutrients that also help with immune health. And let's not go there, but 2020 wasn't a good year, right, for immunity. So
we need more immunity, right? So I guess we need to be building up our immune system.
Exactly. So if we put that into play, right, dairy provides a lot of nutrients that are helpful for immunity. So those being selenium,
vitamin D.
Vitamin D. Oh my gosh, vitamin D is my favorite vitamin. So yes, vitamin D, vitamin A is another key immune booster. So dairy provides that, but you also have other ones that help support the release of energy. So when I talk to kids, right, they need energy to think, they need energy to move, right? But you need these other nutrients that help to release that energy to get you going. So they might not provide it right there at the source, but they help to release it. So B vitamins, all that stuff. We got potassium, we got phosphorus in there. So we got a lot of key nutrients going into dairy. And
And
so
calcium, right? Makes our
and
bones
calcium,
grow
yep. Sorry.
stronger.
And yep, I cannot forget that. Thank you, Jasmine. For our healthy bones and teeth, we all love that. We all want that going into adulthood, even old adult age, right? We need healthy bones for quality of life. And dairy is on that plate, on that MyPlate. That is your go-to when it comes to calcium and vitamin D. So that's why I'm like, oh man, you can't forget that little cup at the corner, because that cup, man, that is going to get you to work hard, play hard, and feel really good at the end of the day. So those are the key nutrients when we're talking about dairy. And so kind of going back to your question, how do you get it, right? Well, the guidelines say you need 3 servings. So that's what I tell individuals. I'm like, 3 servings, how can you get it? So think about it during the day. When do you get, adequate meal size? When is that just like a no-brainer? And for most people, that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I tell a lot of people, hopefully you're not skipping those. That's like can't do that, right? You need to at least get 3 adequate meals to help spread out that good energy. You talk about weight loss. I'm like, well, the last thing you want to do for weight loss is get all food at one time frame. And usually for people, that's dinner, Jasmine, right? I'm that way sometimes, and I'm like, oh man, my biggest meal should have been at the beginning of the day, right? Because I have all this energy to spread out during the course of the day. I'm not running a marathon at night, that's for sure. So why am I going in with the heaviest meal at dinner? So typically what I tell people is you got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. At least I hope. If not, we got to work on it. And that's another topic. But if you can get 3 servings of dairy, what they are saying at those meals, then you're golden. So what does that look like?
Serving, is that a cup or
yeah,
a
so
cup?
yeah, no, very, very good. So it depends on which dairy source you're talking about. So yes, when you come like the cup of milk or a glass of milk, we're talking about 8 ounces right? But when we're talking about cheese, a serving, so a string cheese is about a serving of cheese right there to get you a lot of calcium and vitamin D and even protein, right? So even a serving of that at a meal is great. I know you, Jasmine. I know me. A little serving of string cheese is probably not enough for me, but
If I eat 2, that's okay, right?
and I say it all depends on people's goals. Right, going back to the original conversation, I like to meet someone some way. So if cheese is your game, and I'm
Or
telling
you know what else I've been
yeah,
doing, Remy? I've been
yeah.
cutting my string cheese up and putting it on my salad, so I feel like I'm getting vegetables and dairy.
Right? It's spreading it, right? If you just eat that one piece of string cheese, it's not going to seem like a lot. But if you include that string cheese with all the other food groups on that plate, it's going to look like, first of all, you got your serving, but then you got all the other ones. So it's that and piece, right? It's going to make you feel full. It's that whole plate all bringing it together. And it's a strategy. So they didn't throw that plate out there for no reason. They did a lot of research to make that plate. And it's key. It's so key. And then you talk about like a serving of yogurt. It's that little cup that you get at the grocery store, that 6 to maybe 8 ounces, but usually 6 ounces of yogurt. That's a serving too. So bam, right there. I got a string cheese at lunch. Like you said, you cut it up or you spread it a little bit on your salad. Then you got a cup of milk at breakfast, and awesome, you go on to dinner and you got some yogurt to satisfy that sweet tooth. Or, it's fine. Moderation, maybe it's a little scoop of ice cream.
Yeah. Okay. One other thing that I want to ask you about, because I'm getting all this professional advice. I am getting a fun, high performing bike. And I know we talked about this. You have a different brand. And I used to spin back in the day, and I did a triathlon, and I worked with a trainer, and they always told me like maximize in 45. So what does that mean? Because I'm about to be on my bike and I want to make sure that I'm doing all the right things.
Oh, I love it. I love Maximize in 45. That's not one I use with my athletes, but I love it.
What do you say? What do you tell your
I
athletes?
say recover in 30 to 45, meaning all that work you put in to there. And I like maximize, same kind of wording. Yeah, recover, right? You went out there and worked hard on the bike. Maybe you were in a Zumba class. Maybe you just got out and walked. You did a really heavy, long walk. You just expended a
Hey,
lot.
or maybe you just carried 5 loads of laundry up and down the stairs. I'm telling you, sometimes I clean up the house and I'm
I
like,
agree.
oh gosh, how many steps? And wait a minute, the little activity
Uh,
ring.
I love these watches, first of all, Jasmine, because they get people to be active. They tell you that you might be sitting too long, and now in the new exercise guidelines, I know we're veering off topic, but they just show that just movement throughout the day, just getting up, and that's why some of these watches will cue you to say you've been sitting too long, right? But that activity counts, right, towards an active day. So that's why I say eat good in the morning, maybe skim it down at night. But yeah, so maximize recover in 45. You maybe sweated a lot, you carried all that laundry, you just went out and did a nice long activity, right? I hate to use the word workout because activity is activity. So you did
I
a
like to
nice
say movement.
movement. Yeah.
I've reframed it and renamed it in my mind that movement. So I'm trying to move as much as possible. So a good movement.
A good movement. I love it, right? It's what motivates you, right? I'm the same way. But yeah, if you had a good movement, let's go with that, then you should recover. You should maximize because you want to not keep losing energy. And when I say losing energy, usually at that point, you're starting to dig into stores that you don't want to, which is muscle, right? You want to keep going with that. And so if you maximize in 30 minutes, meaning you get a very solid, good recovery snack afterwards in that 45 minutes, now you can start building that muscle back up, even maybe potentially more than what you had going in. And remember, everyone wants muscle. And so if you can do that and maximize, you're golden. Now, the question might be, Remi, what's a good maximizing snack, right?
Of course, yeah. We want the prescriptive approach. Remy, what's a good maximizing snack?
Jasmine, I love it. I didn't know you were going there, but I figured maybe you were. So I like to throw in 3 R's when it comes to a recovery snack. So recover in 30, 45 minutes. That is, you want to rebuild, you want to repair, and you want to rehydrate. Why refuel? Refuel is because you just burned out a lot of your energy to get you to the next workout the next day. So that usually comes in the form of carbohydrates. Where do we find carbs? In fruits, vegetables, grains, and dairy. And then you want to, and there's a reason why I'm going here, Jasmine. Then you want to rebuild. Rebuild is that muscle mass I talked about. So you want some good protein going in. Ooh, on the plate, where do we find protein? Well, Remi, don't trick me. It's in that protein section. But hey, it's also in some plants, right? But it's in dairy, okay? And then we talk about rehydrating. You sweated, right? You might have got a good sweat out. You lost a lot of maybe electrolytes, which help to expend a little bit of energy, but it helps to balance fluid in your body, okay? So you rehydrate, right? Ooh, what group on that plate has fluids? I can promise you there's not a lot of fluids found in vegetables, grains, and protein. Yes, maybe a little bit. Fruit, for sure, you got watermelon, but what's a key one? Dairy when it comes to milk. So if you're telling me, Remi, I need to refuel, rebuild, and rehydrate within 30 to 45 minutes, which group did I just say has all those? Dairy, right? Dairy. So it's
Can I have like a glass of chocolate milk?
Chocolate milk, that old school, right, drink that every athlete back in the day would just go and drink, right? That could be it. You can go in your fridge. You can go right there and get some chocolate milk. And now they have stuff that can sit in your bag. It doesn't even need to be refrigerated. Right there. You just got to take it down, sip it down.
From scratch, the way I do with the syrup and some milk. And
exactly. Exactly. And a lot of people are like, oh, Remi, what about that added sugar in the chocolate milk? Well, remember I told you need carbs, right? You need to refuel. So that little added bit of chocolate actually makes a difference. So yes, it's a little bit of added sugar, but there's a reason for it. So yeah, you could still do it with white milk. That's fine. But right there, you get good protein, you get fluids, and you get carbohydrates. Why not, right? So easy. When I'm talking to any of my clients on a high budget versus a low budget versus 2 years old, all the way to 65, I say, why not chocolate milk if you can do it? We could talk other ways, but so simple.
So what I'm hearing you say is that dairy is extremely important, and that we not only do we need to have it daily, but that daily is dairy. I said daily, sorry. We need to have dairy daily, but that dairy is very accessible. I think sometimes we only thought about dairy like from milk, but we can incorporate it, whether it's cottage cheese or a cheese stick. There are ways to get, or yogurt. There are a lot of ways that we can get dairy in our diet. I know you are not a medical doctor, that you are a PhD, that you don't like to be called Dr. Remi. But I recently read, because I suffer from high blood pressure, that dairy can be important to helping or combat cardiovascular disease. And I'm going to have another conversation with a doctor, so I'm not putting you on the spot. But I just love to get your thoughts.
I think I know that there's research out there, and I believe you go to US Dairy and you will find that, you know, those particular articles that say that. And honestly, you know, research is so, I know it. Research is very by the book. They're very dedicated. So, and I read those articles and I believe it. Now, I'm glad you're talking to a medical doctor, because I can't tell you right here, Jasmine, which pathways, and I can get very nerdy into that, like which pathways. But what, you know, what I told you from those nine essential but 13 key nutrients that you get from dairy. When we talk about that immunity, right? You talk about all this inflammation that the body can be caused, whether it's from disease, maybe it's from a workout and all that stuff. The fact that dairy brings those key nutrients obviously should help support a healthy immune system and a healthy body. And then, you know, you can go down the line and say, well, if you have healthy bones supported by dairy, that means you can go for a harder workout. You're not sitting down, right? So there's a lot of things where I say, for sure, I would, you know, if you put that and where you're getting all those food groups on your plate and dairy, right? You're only that next step, that next level. And I would for sure, in my professional opinion, again, I know you're come with the actual doctor, remember, that for sure that dairy can be that support system to help with disease prevention. I guarantee. And then it kind of brings on that notion, Jasmine, a plant-based diet, right? I got that a lot. You know, with my players, it was Game Changers, and it was vegan and all that stuff. So we were hit with that last year. But I think the facts that I kind of want to set straight here is that a plant-based diet means just getting more sources of food from plants. As I told you, 80%, if not more, people don't get adequate amount of dairy. Well, the same thing comes with fruits and vegetables, right? A lot of people don't get a lot of the vegetables they need and the servings of fruits they need. But that's the same thing with dairy. And so, you know, I think you need to incorporate those food groups that come with these key fruits and vegetables and antioxidants and all those stuff to support a healthy system. And so, yeah, I think dairy fits 100% in that. And people, I think, are just getting the wrong facts. And I do say, you know, US dairy is a way to streamline that and just go to the source, because we get a lot. Oh, Jasmine, can I go off on just kind of my soapbox here for a second?
Yeah, because I was going to say, what else do you want to say? But yeah, so tell
Yes.
me. Go
Oh
on.
my gosh. Dietitians, right? We go to school for this. We have certifications, we have degrees. So we are the food experts, in my opinion. Okay. I know that. We are the food experts, right? And there's all these people that come out with this misinformation. If you don't dig deep, if you don't know the facts, if you don't know what you're looking for, you might find a lot of non-factual stuff. I want to say, if you have these ideas or thoughts, this celebrity or this athlete came out with this, right? Well, they're not the experts, right? And so I say, go to the dietitian, at least one that's going to sit down and get the facts for you, because you don't want to just do a switch right there, not knowing what you could potentially be missing out. And a lot of people just go to that and they don't know, well, dairy and the farmers and all this stuff that are supporting a healthy body, healthy, like you said, animal, healthy planet, they are supporting that. You might miss those facts if you just go to the unfactual source, like those athletes, like those stars. So I'm just super glad we're having this conversation, so I can tell people to come to see a registered dietitian.
Yeah. no, I am so glad that we're having this conversation too. And that's really why I wanted to talk to you, is because I wanted to get to the facts. So, Remi, I want to say thank you so much for giving us the truth, the educated facts about dairy. I want to say thank you so much to my friends at Midwest Dairies for sponsoring this extremely informative and factual conversation. And on a personal note, as a farmer's wife, I really want to say thank you to the farmers that feed the world. And I know that farmers strive to be excellent stewards of the animals and the land that they farm. And we came out with a lot. Remi dropped a lot of gems today. I'm so excited about the chocolate milk, and Remi is going to help me do some things behind the scenes. But if anybody needs any additional information, I want to encourage you to go to usdairy.com. And I hope that you will join me for other Carpe Diem with Jasmine conversations. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jasmine.